Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. It's great to have us all here in the chat today. And what I want to do is just see how things are going at your airports. And we've been doing these kind of speaker series throughout COVID, just to help out each other and help those that are also in other situations similar to yours with airports across Canada, around the world, on as they work their way through COVID. So, the first thing I wanted to really dive into was just based on what's happening in Ontario and in Alberta today with COVID. How is it affecting the day-to-day operations of your airport, or is it? So, I'll start with you, Luke. In northern Alberta, what's that like?
Yeah, it's been different. So unfortunately, both airlines here have suspended their operation. So we've lost that aspect of travel because we are so far north. The only other option is to drive south. We've also had less general aviation, so it's affected it in that sense where we've lost a lot of the business that comes in and out of here.
Yeah, and what's the future look like, Luke? There, what are the discussions like for some of that resumption?
So for the resumption, it was originally planned for June 8th. As of last week, we had the discussions and they have pushed it back to August. And once August arrives, they are going to reevaluate the situation and see where we can start a new resumption plan.
Yeah, not easy and high level when last year you were dealing with forest fires, and this year it's shifted to a whole different emergency. So, how about you and Tiffany in Dryden? How is it affecting the day-to-day operations today?
Similar to Luke, we don't have passenger flights right now. Bearskin Airlines is our sole provider for that service, and they stopped at the beginning of April, their passenger service. So we've been in contact with them and have an open dialogue, and we're hoping to be able to support them as they work on being able to come up with a resumption plan. So that's our passenger sched side. We've got the MNR and Meg Aerospace, in full swing now with the fire season. And though that's pretty slow too, we're thankful right now, but we've seen them come in and out, and they've increased our traffic a little bit compared to March.
That's great. Safety of staff is been in the news. It's been talked about. We hear it from our clients on the difficulties of trying to physical distance in the workplace. So, Lisa, with Peterborough, what are you doing, or what are you doing as an airport to make sure that we're protecting staff?
So there's a couple of things. We're doing definitely one person if we can in the office, where normally we'd have quite a few working day to day. We're trying to limit the interactions between staff. We've put some markings on the floor to make sure that people know to keep their distance. We have masks available. We have face shields available, all kinds of cleaning products. But really it's just trying to limit the interaction between staff members, which makes it a little hard sometimes when you're used to just going around and going to the shop and saying hi to the operations team and chatting with people. It's just, you have to take the extra time and be conscious and think about it day to day.
Yeah, it's not an easy task, right? When we're used to that interaction, which we all enjoy. How about Leo in Greenstone, Geraldton, and the Keene airports? You also have MNR bases and a skid service. So as far as physical distancing for staff and even visitors, what's that look like there?
Yeah, here in Greenstone, Geraldton, and Nakina, first of all, we really encourage staff to speak out if they have any concerns, and then we act accordingly, definitely listen to what they have to say. But I believe it would have been maybe in April or so, we started to close the terminal to the public. So that, first of all, prevented an increased interaction with the public. And we also took steps in the staff operating or coming in close contact with flight crews. So we've put provisions in place that work can continue. We do a lot in terms of fueling aircraft. That's our biggest interaction with flight crews. In terms of the paperwork, we've taken a step to get what information we can before we come into that close contact, and as much as possible is done over the telephone or from a distance.
Yeah, very good. In Kawartha Lakes at Lindsay Airport, when we think about fatigue and how, you as managers and every airport manager right now in Canada or around the world who's seen such a disruption in the industry, we find that fatigue, it's normal during disasters that fatigue's going to step in. So, Malcolm, what are you doing to help with that? That you can come to work and be refreshed to try to move the airport forward. So, what are some of the things that works at your airport?
Well, personally for me, and it might seem a little counterintuitive, but I like to keep as busy as possible. I think it's important to find projects, find things that you can spend time on and give you a rewarding feeling back. It's a good time to start a new hobby at home, or just to take this energy into something you've been putting off for a long time, whether that's at home or at work. I think we've all got a pretty lengthy to-do list both at home and at work. And I think it's just important to get back to the basics. Get outside a little bit. Sunshine's free. There's certain things that, pandemic or not, there's certain privileges that we all get to enjoy. It's important to take advantage of that.
That's awesome. So anybody that needs to get some sunshine, do some work, then give Malcolm a call. Zach, what about you? What about life in Wiarton with fatigue, both for your staff and you? How are you dealing with that and trying to find that renewed energy to move into the next phase of what's happening?
Well, just being able to chat with my staff on a daily basis is just it's a great feeling, being able to chat with the staff and see how they're doing, check up on their mental health, physical health. For me, for my mental well-being and dealing with stress and fatigue, for me, my biggest thing is being able to keep physical, going outside, going for walks, enjoying the sunlight, even the breeze, just exploring new areas allowed me to de-stress during some pretty stressful times through the pandemic.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome. So I'm hearing some common themes there, which is great. This next question, I'm going to throw it out to the floor, and we know that throughout COVID, Transport Canada has been doing what they could to help struggling airlines and airports. And one of the things they did was kind of delay some of the mandatory deadlines for things like holding your emergency exercise, SMS audits, delaying the GRF program. So what does that mean for your airport? Is there merit in that, or do you see the value in, if it's possible, carrying on with those checks and balances for compliance? So any thoughts on that?
I'll jump in. I think it's beneficial that Transport offered airports the opportunity to delay some things, but I don't think it's something that people should be taking for granted or taking advantage of, because if you let it get behind at the start, you don't know where you're going to be in months from now. You want to make sure you're still doing the audits if you can, the exercises if you can. If you can't do a full scale, do a tabletop and do the full scale the next year. I just think it's so important to keep compliant, because it's easier to stay on it than it is to try and play catch up the whole time. And in a time like this where we do have the opportunity to catch up on a lot of projects, I think it's really important that airports do stay on top of their compliance. So.
Yeah, crashes and incidents, they don't discriminate, so it can happen anywhere, anytime, regardless of COVID or not. So there's a thought pattern around that. How, anybody else?
Yeah,
I think they've given us the opportunity. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
They've
ahead.
given us the opportunity to reassess our approach and our schedules in order to be able to continue with our requirements. So an example, right, like our full-scale exercise was planned for May, and this exemption has allowed us to kind of go back to the table and come up with a game plan in order to still get an exercise in, whether it be our tabletop instead. We just have been given a little bit of extra time to kind of make sure we have a plan to roll out.
Yeah, that's great. Sometimes hitting reset, there's a lot of value in that for the quality and the quantity of what you're producing. This last question before we let you go is maybe a hard one, but I'm wondering, what's one positive coming out of COVID for your airport? So we're seeing, you know, and hearing from our clients every day about some of the good things that have come out of it. So for your airport, what is one of the positives that you can, you know, tuck that in the bank and say, look, through all this, this is one really good thing that happened. So I'm going to send you all out, and I'll start with Lisa.
Oh, good. I think it's really given us the opportunity, kind of building on what Tiff said, is to reevaluate and reprioritize. You know, we're so busy with so many different things that this has just given us the time to take a breath and say, okay, what's the most important? How can we refocus? What new ideas can we develop for the airport that we might not have seen before? It's allowed us to kind of reset and regauge a whole bunch of what are the new opportunities? What else could I get out of this? In addition, I will say specifically for our Loomex team for building relationships, I know I've been chatting with these guys every day, every other day for quite some time, and they're a pretty entertaining crowd. So the relationship building has been an opportunity as well, I think. So.
Thanks, Lisa. How about you, Leo?
For me, I would say is drawn attention to the airport in a very positive way, both within the municipality, the public, really knowing the benefit that we have and what we do bring to the area, as well as for our customers, for us to be able to continue to provide services and support, especially during the time. I really see the appreciation coming from them. So I know we've been able to act quickly, accordingly, put things in place, and I feel that sense of appreciation for the job that we do here.
Thanks, Leo. How about you, Luke?
For us, we just took a step back and kind of regrouped and thought about, you know, what are some things that we can accomplish while we do have extra time and there aren't a lot of people around. So we're kind of working on projects that you wouldn't normally really work on when there's a lot of people around in the building. So, you know, we just took that time to take advantage of this opportunity. We're in an unfortunate time, but, you know, I believe there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, very good, very good. Malcolm.
I think I'd have to say that one thing that I believe everybody has sort of realized as this is going on is that we're all part of a pretty large community, and certainly a community that's larger than ourselves. And that's not just our local neighborhoods, but on a global scale. And I think that's really actually been positive in the way that it's brought people together. And I think that can be found around the airport as well as it can be found in our own neighborhood.
Thanks, Malcolm. And Dryden, Tiffany.
One thing that I've learned is that the airport community itself has really come together to advocate on behalf of the smaller airports, larger airports. And I think that's really valuable for people to understand, is that we are a community, and it's kind of in these times, it's really shown that we're a resilient bunch, and we're able to kind of band together in order to find that support and to push for opportunities. On an operations front, we've been able to maintain our annual requirements and maintenance requirements, and we've been able to complete them on a more efficient level in comparison to other years, just with a slowdown in traffic. So our crack sealing, our runway painting, were all kind of done much more efficiently than in previous years.
Yeah, that's a big help. Yeah. And Zach Wyerton.
I think the biggest positive for the airport, and I believe this for some of the other airports as well, was understanding the need for infection control. Prior to this, we didn't have a lot of that in place. With COVID coming out, it's allowed us to get the things we need, the PPE, and allowed us for new policies and procedures in place to keep staff and our community protected.
Very good. Thanks, Zach. And I'll wrap that up with saying, personally within our organization, all of our staff, every single one of them were up at this high level in my eyes. And what I've witnessed across the board, doesn't matter where you are in our country, everybody has given it that much more to make sure that all the things we mentioned today about mental health and well-being and sustainability of the airports, and it's we're seeing it at every level, regardless of somebody that's sweeping a floor or managing an airport. So and we're seeing that in many organizations. So I think that's important. And I just want to end with some final thoughts around, you know, business resumption. And we know that there's a really good chance round 2 is coming. So with being armed with that knowledge, we can't let our foot off the gas when it comes to, you know, all the planning you're doing over the next number of months. Organizations need to consider that, you know, round 2 is going to hit. Let's just say it's going to hit. So how are we going to plan for that? So very important for us all to consider moving forward. So thanks everybody for your time. It's always a pleasure, and stay safe, be well, and make sure you wear a mask and wash your hands. Thank you.